Welcome to our webinar today. We are still waiting for some attendees here, but while we do that, we can as well introduce what we are going to do and who we are. Today, it's about introducing the new LuraTech Rendition Server, a whole new big product we developed, which is out there in pilot phases for half a year now publicly started a couple weeks ago, and we are going to bring this kind of to life and see what it is about. My name is Carsten Heiermann, first dude there on the list. I'm managing director of LuraTech, doing this for quite a while, and we'll do the slide deck part of it more or less today. And with me is Gert.
Hello, I'm Gert Michaels. I'm the LuraTech product manager since 2015. I had the chance and the opportunity to be from the beginning, from the beginning of the LuraTech Rendition Server product, and I hope you will enjoy what you will see or learn today, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions you might have on the product. I'll be showing you some, I will be performing the demo today, so we'll talk again later.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gert. Gert, can you confirm that the screen is visible?
Yes, it's perfectly visible.
Thank you. So this is what we have planned for today. It's about 45 minutes that we are trying to squeeze this into. The agenda really is 5 points that we want to talk about. First thing is, what is the LuraTech Rendition Server all about? We're talking a little bit about central document conversion, and you'll see how these two go together and then see what LuraTech Rendition Server really is. Second part already then is a demonstration part. Gert will show some really sample use cases. You can use it for so many different things, but some sample use cases we'll take a look at to give you at least an idea. You won't see a lot of Rendition Server in that demonstration, rather all kinds of front ends, but we'll get to that later. Third part is, again, my part about technology, architecture, expendability, extensibility, a little bit background information on not what it is, but how it is done and everything else. We're then ready already for another short demonstration showing you the view of IT administrators actually running LuraTech Rendition Server. So that's the first time you see some parts of the user interface that is mainly for administration purposes and maintenance purposes for the rendition server. Gert will take that. And then the last part is I want to give you a little bit idea about the expansion levels of what is part of the package, what are the options, and introduce a little bit the concept of the license model on how we structure the scaling in this product. Anytime you have questions, just make use of it and type it into the GoToWebinar control panel. There's a section called questions or something. In my German it says Fragen, but in your English version it should say questions or something. Type it in there. If we're still in context, we're going to answer them right away if we're aware of them. Other than that, we use the last some minutes to fill it up to 45 minutes or so to answer all the questions. Okay, 45 minutes, about ready to go. First part. Let's talk about what the rendition server really is. And talking about rendition server means talking about a new term called enterprise rendition. Now, what is it? That says enterprise-wide rendering of documents in a way. So what we are doing with the rendition server is we render different views on documents. We take a document in format A, do something with it and render it to a document in a format B. And that's what Rendition Server does, with the main purpose of creating PDF files. Creating means now not only just really creating from scratch, it means converting from all different source formats, PDF to PDF-A, PDF so-and-so to PDF so-and-so, Word, Office, PowerPoint to PDF, HTML, email to PDF, or whatever. Or data, templates together to PDF, which is more the create PDF part. We're also ready to edit PDFs, validate PDFs, and do all kinds of things that are in the bigger context of document conversion, document manipulation in a way that you want to achieve. We also support not only PDF, which is the main format as a purpose, as the output format, but we also support a lot of other target formats. So I don't know what, you output a PDF and then alongside with it an RTF for some specific purposes? Yeah, here we go. The LuraTech Rendition Server is built to do that. The main sources, where does the stuff come from that we're going to convert? It does come out of all the IT subsystems that are there all over the enterprise. And that's one of the goals, enterprise rendition. So wherever the document comes from, it runs through the LuraTech Rendition Server and creates its output format in a single instance, in a single, let's say, tool, but it's more like an infrastructure. All conceivable file formats, databases, whatever the sources are considered to be sources for LuraTech's rendition server. Why would you do that? Why would you go forward and put it all in one big infrastructure to create, let's say, your PDF files? There's a couple of requirements that will be very hard to achieve without having a central rendering instance, a central enterprise rendition installation. First, there is an ever increasing need to create high-level and uniform quality PDF files out of all the systems. There could be other things. Think about somebody's coming into the office and saying, hey, you IT guy, now from this day on, we do PDF in this and this format, hands down. We need it for, I don't know, audit purposes. We needed to report to any kind of regulatory authority or something like that. So from this point on, our PDF is this. Now you sit there potentially being the poor IT guy and having a bazillion different PDF tools and components all across your enterprise. There is this desktop tool, probably a Foxit Phantom. Cool, does create PDF, but how do you now make sure that your users only output to this specific required PDF? There's this printer driver coming out of nowhere. You don't even know. How can you guarantee it does output to it? How can you even tell it does output to a specific version of PDF? How can you control that the quality is correct enough? For example, for archiving purposes or for just the pure quality of the PDF. How can you do that? How can you make sure you enforce document policies across SAP, ERP systems or others and all the other tools? You just can't if you don't have a central instance creating your PDF files for all these subsystems. And it goes on and on. You probably have compliance issues to come across, audit trails for any kind of document conversion that you need to do, some kind of process documentation. What happened to this file? Where does page 3 of this document ever came from? Where did it ever come from? So that's kind of documentations you can only make sure if you have considered to go to an enterprise rendition infrastructure looking at LuraTech Rendition Server. In other words, you take back control over your document creation that kind of got out of hand with users having an app to create PDF from whatever source on their smartphone. And all of a sudden, this document ends up in your enterprise IT on this way or another and makes your life real difficult. Enterprise rendition makes it much more easy. So what is it? What is LuraTech Rendition Server? That's basically easy to answer. Basically, it's a web service. It's a web service offering all these kind of conversion, editing, validating, whatever services that we saw before for all the different tasks, convert from A to B, manipulate a document from B to C, whatever. It's that way very easy to be integrated into your whole IT landscape. So web services is so common today. I think we will have a hard time finding something that could not start in any case a web service or call a web service in order to generate a PDF out of whatever it is. So it's a very broad approach to integration into enterprise IT landscape. So it's a web service, easy as that. But other than that, behind that web service, there's obviously a lot of things to do in order to make it enterprise rendition ready. It's an infrastructure behind that web service, an infrastructure for document conversion tasks of any sort. And it is starting a highly scalable infrastructure. So we're looking at any numbers of servers that you need to cope with your load that are connected to LuraTech Rendition Server. We look at dynamic load balancing in there. So we do look at handling peak loads in there. So documents come up, never ever a department tells you up front that documents in the amount of couple of thousand, couple of 100,000, whatever, will hit you next Wednesday afternoon. They don't tell. They just do, because they all think IT enterprise level resources are endless, right? And hit your infrastructure with unforeseen peak loads. So LuraTech Rendition Server is a highly scalable infrastructure for document conversion tasks. It's also built to be very reliable. There's just no single point of failure in there. All components can be installed in a redundant way, including automatic failover and other scenarios, to just make sure that whenever something goes down, it doesn't matter, because it will go on with, for example, its automatic failover buddy running in the same infrastructure. It's expandable. So some of you customers here today of PDF Compressor, and PDF Compressor is a good product. It's a product that continues, that we continuously developing very hard, mostly in the application of scanned documents. But when you remember it, it doesn't have workflows to configure or create in there. It has its way of doing its tasks. You can have defined input, defined output, and in between a set of parameters that you can select and deselect. In this case here, LuraTech Rendition Server has quote-unquote workflows between those. You have the way to configure your own strategies of converting documents from A to B with a set of different tools or engines that we call stations, and you can put that stations in a row as you need them, create a workflow, and all of a sudden you have your way of creating or achieving your document conversion task. It's expandable. Expandable saying we do even have an API in there that allows you, besides all the modules, stations as we say, that are already in the box when you have LuraTech Rendition Server for all these kind of conversion purposes. You might have your private format to PDF conversion engine. You can use the API and put it into the configurable workflows of LuraTech Rendition Server, and then run your, I don't know what it is, your command line tool or what have you, inside a highly scalable, highly reliable server-side infrastructure all of a sudden. It's easy to administrate. Doesn't sound like, right? It does sound very complex, but it's really easy to administrate. It has a web management console, a web management tool to set up, configure, monitor, and we will take a look at that a little later, and also has interfaces to standard IT management and monitoring software as you have them in larger operations. We return to that part with the second demo. Couple use cases before we actually go into the demonstration. Gerd, you can warm up to show us something. What are the use cases? Use cases I mentioned before is convert, create, edit, whatever documents of whatever sort. These documents come out of ERP systems like SAP, archive, databases, output management, CRM system. I don't want to read it all out here. Mobile application, wherever they come from, it guarantees that they are treated in the exact same way, and that the PDF quality that comes out of that and the PDF syntax, like structure and everything, version, format, or whatever, is on the same high level for every of these subsystems later on. That's the use cases that we're looking at. And it has interfaces or say connection points or whatever through the web services into your whole IT landscape, whatever it is. Might be a client software that you have, whatever, for scanning purposes, for Word, I don't know, Word to PDF or whatever. It might have server-side components, web-based tools or whatever that we can connect to with our web service. It might be pure back-end systems with no view at all, something that does something in the background that can be connected to it. It can be cloud-based system. We have a web service. We can go everywhere. So in other words, these are the interfaces we can really run across the whole infrastructure as you have it today. And Gerd is now going to show us some samples. And Gerd, you will position it yourself, I guess, on what we'll see.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'll switch over.
Okay. Yep. Thanks, Carsten, for this introduction. Yep. Just waiting. Okay. Should be seeing something blue coming up?
Yes.
Okay, so Carsten told you already this Rendition Server is, as a front end, is called is made by Web Service Technology. So how do you show web service technology? A little bit difficult. So we set up a demonstrator application, which in the back talks to the rendition server through its web service and shows in a fancy GUI more or less what we put up and what comes back. So you have a clear understanding what we put in and what comes back. So the first field of application or use case I'm going to show is the concatenation of scanned pages into one document and to add the OCR text searchable layer to this PDF document. So we have the lower corner, left corner of the application. I can select what you could say a profile. We call it a strategy, and I say I want to perform raster imaging with OCR, converting to PDF. Does it mean okay? Because we want to have the OCR layer on it, and I can say now combine, and we'll put all the pages in this order into one final document. So now that's transferred the files to the rendition server. We can see on the yellow wheel, and I can hear in the back that the machine is performing, and we'll see there's the back. So we see from the original 21.69 megabyte, we have a PDF with size of half a megabyte, reduced to 2%. If you've not seen it before, this is what we can do with this document. Say page, fit page. It's just the journal and 32 pages of the United Nations today, what they'll be discussing. It's just like it's a fancy document with big and little fonts and a little bit of colors. So and as we can see, the text layer, if we want to see the text on this PDF, it's this is text that's been seen from OCR. So that's what's in the PDF document. I remember it were JPEGs in the beginning, and we made a PDF-A with a text searchable layer from it. The second use case is where we're going to convert text to a PDF file. Imagine there we have like long listings of all numbers or raw protocols, reports, all queries that have been performed. They must be archived in some way. This is an example of the European Union Commission with internal trade between the countries with numbers as percentages here, and there we have like absolute values, but it doesn't matter here. What we want to see is how this can be put into PDF-A for archiving. So we search here text to PDF, and I prepared a profile here with proportional font and landscape. I mean, these settings are performed by an administrator. I, as an end user or as my end user application, I cannot really mix with these settings. Again, this is to enforce central policy making and having policy applied to PDF generation. So I go on this document here, say convert. Doesn't take much time. Okay, so there it is, PDF file, and we see, like expected, it's a PDF-A. We can see over here, it's been detected as PDF-A file with perfectly usable numbers like someone would expect. All fine in a PDF-A file. Okay, more practical example is, close all tabs, yes, close all tabs, is in a desktop application, a real desktop application. We can imagine, some like ERP system, but we chose Outlook as our main demonstrator case here. Everybody knows someone writes email, has some attachments, which we're going to do, attach some files here, an Excel sheet and general terms and conditions. Use case is that if I send an email to a potential customer, so I don't want him or her to receive my internal formulas from my Excel sheet, I could convert it with other applications, or I could do it just before sending here if I used this add-on. This is a simple add-on demonstrator in Outlook, so this means that we have no PDF printer installed on this machine or nothing else, just only one add-on just to talk with a rendition server in the back is all is needed in these applications. I can select or deselect the files and can hit convert. This, for example, we can take some time. Okay, I still can see whether this converted document is okay or not. And if I'm completely satisfied, I can say OK, and then, for example, it would replace all my attachments. That's just an example of how you can bring central policy-based PDF conversion to desktop applications. And the fourth little example is when the web service can also be called from PowerShell, just as an example for all other languages out there. We have a little shell extension which converts the selected file through the web service using PowerShell. Select this one, it goes a PowerShell in the background, up and down, so you can update it. And there we have the converted PDF file in place. Just for those curious what's behind this, we have this is the PowerShell you just saw in action. MIME type is just a function. What do we need? We have URL to the web service. We have a comment that we can add on. We provide an extension for our file types, and we say which strategy we want to have applied, either as a vector or a raster with OCR. In the end, it's all like you invoke the web service and have the file converted, and just here's the conversion function, which takes the parameters, invokes convert file, and just write all the bytes back to a file. So with only these few lines, you can interact with the rendition server from PowerShell. For example, just a way to show how easy it is to integrate web service-based PDF conversion into our applications. So back to you, Carsten.
Okay, Gert, thank you for that. This is a very good overview, but again, everybody understand everything you just saw is real examples. You didn't see rendition server at all, except a little bit it popped up when you took a look at the source code. I seem to be unable to stop Gert from showing source code in this webinars, but it gives us a very clear impression that calling a web service is not a difficult thing to do for any kind of application. It can be done with a script and can be added to Windows in an instant. And that way it can also be integrated in any other IT infrastructure real quick and be called from there and help you enforce your central document conversion with your central applicable conversion strategies. I do get a note that some people might experience broken sound. I'm sorry for that. I think it will be the GoToWebinar software because Gert and I are also in different towns today and we can hear each other pretty clear. So it might have problems on different ends, and I hope not everybody has experienced that. We are going to record this session anyway, and we're going to be able we are able to send it out to you guys as a link after the session for those of you experiencing audio problems. Sorry for that. I hope you still enjoy it. When we go on now and take a look at a little bit of the technology, a little bit on not what it is, but how it is. So we talked about web service for quite a while. It's a SOAP interface that we have there. I think it's already made clear that it's universally callable from any kind of computers, any kind of devices, independent from the programming language. We saw calling it from PowerShell. The other examples are written in C#. The other examples are, again, something totally different, and it can be called from mobile as well as .NET, Java, whatever it is. Very easy to use. Too much technology terms here. I leave it out for those who know. They can easily identify the right keywords here. And one idea is also coming with it. When you think about invoking it from Outlook, you have the files in Outlook. You're going to convert those two files. You transport those two files through the web service towards the server and then convert them and send it back through the web service. In other cases where you have server-to-server communication, a server-side tool calls the rendition server for conversion. The files actually might already live in a file share somewhere, and therefore we can also tell, just not transporting it, saving a lot of time, tell a reference to the file and give it to the server. Okay, very technical, but a little bit the idea here is universally callable, universally to be integrated into any infrastructure, whatever it is, including mobile, whatever. Second thing is, you haven't seen a lot about Rendition Server yet, only these samples. So this is a representation on how it is structured, the architecture mostly. So what we saw on Gert's presentation was things running on these desktop applications up here. Could be web apps, could be mobile apps. We saw a couple of desktop apps here communicating through this blue line here with the red box is the LuraTech Rendition Server here. And then back and forth, images in or whatever, PDFs out, whatever it is. Inside the LuraTech Rendition Server, things first and all are registered and go to the so-called managing node. The managing node is the instance that takes care of protocoling everything, like every request will be documented, every request will carry the caller ID to make sure you can later on charge somebody or some department for what they are doing there, independent from the other departments. And it also makes sure that the workload is distributed in the way like the priorities tell us, and other things across the so-called worker nodes. That's these guys down here. You can have as many worker nodes as you want, if you like. So in order to keep up with your load, you can scale it pretty hefty, all the way up to as many worker nodes as you want. The managing node looks like a single instance here, but also we are able to run it with a failover system, so run it in multiple instances as well for throughput reasons, as well as for no single point of failure reason here. So besides calling it from desktop apps, I told you already it can be called from any kind of system or server. Your ERP system might generate its invoices in PDF through the LuraTech Rendition Server, send them back, or send them back to a file share where they can be picked up, or to a mail server to send them out. So this is all interconnectable. Another part of it is the database. The database is needed. There's just no way of doing it without a database, because everything is controlled, protocoled, documented on every single step on what happens, and that is what we are using the database for, besides a couple of other things. And then here's a small, hey, I'm sorry for that, it keeps on happening like that. Then there is a small other connection, again, another web service, a second web service. That's the operation and maintenance web service. So that connects, for example, the LuraTech operations and maintenance web app in order to configure, control, monitor, whatever, the rendition server through a web GUI here. We'll talk about that a little more in the second presentation. I'm also supposed to talk not only about the technology and the architecture, but also about the expendability of the product. And let me zoom in a little bit and open up a little more detailed view on the rendition server in order to explain it. Again, up here is our blue line, bold line conversion web service as we had it before. A request is sent through the web service to the managing node. Here's the first little detail. The managing node not just really does what I told you before, but it also has another API ready where you can hook up custom work item handlers, meaning pre-processing to your documents. That is something you can do on your own if you like, with your own rules of specification. But it can also be something like too large of a documents are split up in smaller chunks and then distributed in chunks to the different instances of the worker nodes here. But it can be anything else. Can be, I don't know, blank page removal maybe, and then only the pages carrying something are distributed to the work as a work item to the worker nodes. That can be done. Now it's about expandability. And I told you before that in the worker nodes, we do have little workflows, and to introduce some terms here, we call them assembly lines, those workflows. And the assembly lines consist of stations. Those are, I don't know, the engines. Could be an OCR engine, a specific conversion engine, a PDF engine, whatever. We call them stations. Those stations now can be put in a row as you need them. The row is not predefined. That's the strategies that Gert was referencing to, where he had strategies for performing different tasks, and those tasks break down into stations. And there's a lot of different stations already in the box with LuraTech Rendition Server, including OCR and others. But we also have a second API down here that allows you to integrate your own private conversion engine that you have for your own private format into PDF or something. Tie this command line tool into our custom into an assembly line as a custom station, and then run it your simple command line tool in this highly available, highly reliable, well-documented, well-protocolling, leaving an audit trail infrastructure. So that's what we call expendability in our architecture. One more thing on technology before we leave the technical chapter 3 of this presentation. It's about operating systems. So this is not the operating system that can work with Rendition Server. That's about anything calling the web service, but this is where it runs on itself. And that's basically on Windows servers. We make big use of the latest and greatest in Microsoft .NET technology, and therefore we need Windows servers as a requirement to run this thing on. Second thing is talking about databases. I know it's always a difficult topic. It's tested, well tested, documented, run, and it is delivered and shipped with Microsoft SQL Server interfaces. So that's the part that is number one on the list of choices for the database, but it can run on almost any database because it can run on any database that is supported by the Microsoft Entity Framework, and that's about everything. And therefore, your own database choice that you might have as a corporate policy there's a high chance that it is supported by the Rendition Server through the Microsoft Entity Framework. Now, that should be enough about technology. We can only take a real quick glance at everything today. We have to probably look much deeper with your specific use cases. Just contact us. There will be an offering for that in the end of this presentation. But that should be it for the presentation part. Now, let's switch away. We all the time had a little bit of a view of the user of the application calling the web server, the Rendition Server. We had a view on how Rendition Server handles things. Now let's take a look at it from a view that those people of you and us have when we run and are responsible for a component and an infrastructure like that. And that's the system and IT administrators. They do the configuration of the product using the LuraTech Management web app, which is something Garrett is going to show us real quick after this. I told you there's an operation and maintenance web service coming with it that can be connected, and here's a little bit more information about that. Not only to the LuraTech Management app, but it can also be connected to standard IT, network, and infrastructure management and monitoring tools that larger corporations are running, like CACT, Nagios, and all the others on the list. They can call those kind of web services, and then you can monitor Rendition Server right as you monitor your SAP server infrastructure, right as you monitor your, I don't know what mail server you run, right as you monitor all your virtual environment in your server farm or IT cluster. So from an operational standpoint, why is this thing making life easier for IT administrators? It's built to run in these environments. It's built to run in unreliable environments. Network goes down, a single computer goes down, something like that. No worries. We carry on with our task because we don't have single point of failures. We have failover and whatnot mentioned before. We've designed this product to be extraordinarily robust against corrupted files. Corrupted files happen all the time. Might be a copy problem through the network. It might be a problem that the file is really bad. It might be the file contains something that is not belonging there or something like that. We made sure that there's ways and means and tools around that we don't go down with that file. So we keep on moving, just really reporting back an error for a corrupted file that we can't process. There's a whole lot of self-monitoring in there, process monitoring in there. So when something goes wrong, we know and give attention to the IT administrators. Other tools are doing that where you have to actively look out for. This one is speaking up if there's a problem. We have a live dashboard in there where you have a one view look, and we'll take a look at that in a second. We have the interface to monitoring system, as I mentioned before. If you're used to another way of managing your applications, just go on using it, including Rendition Server. Performance logs, accounting records, very important for charging costs to different departments. That's all part of the product and more. So it makes life for IT administrators much easier. And Gerd is going to give us a real quick glance now at the interfaces, the web app, as we have them. It can also, again, only be a quick glance, but let's have that quick glance. Gerd, up to you.
Yep. Okay.
By the way,
so I
just preparing. Make sure you type your questions into the question window. Thank you. Sorry, Gerd.
Okay,
Go ahead.
no problem, Carsten, thank you. I'm just starting again with this architecture diagram. I just want to point out that this LuraTech operation and maintenance web app that we provide requires IIS to run on. The other web services from the rendition server itself, the SOAP web service, does not need IIS. It runs directly on Windows using .NET technology. So that's the only part where we need IIS is for this operation and maintenance app. So I move back to my server here. This is the home or live view, the main dashboard on the rendition server, where you can directly see what is currently going on. We see a managing node over here, and we see a worker node which is assigned to this managing node. Currently has no work items to work on. It's completely idle. We have no or barely CPU usage, and we have these buttons here to switch worker nodes into maintenance mode for software or hardware update whatsoever. That's the main dashboard. We can see what has been going on in the last 5 minutes. We have had no requests, nothing, nothing gone, no success, and no failures. Second tab is the configuration, where, for example, and I switch to the worker node configuration. Just an example, the setting is like the overall processing timeout. This means how long can some conversions are allowed to run before they are being preempted. A lot of other settings can be performed here, like which performance information must be recorded. It's all configurable here. Then we come to strategies. Remember from the demonstrator, from the client side of you, you can only select a specific strategy, which is configurable by the administrator centrally. So, for example, if I take this vector strategy, go in view, we can see, for example, PDF conformance is set to PDF A to U setting. That's, these strategies are also versioned, which means if I make a modification to a strategy, it will increase the version number. So it's always completely monitorable if any change has been made to the strategy, just to make sure that everything is as it has been before. The next part is the graphical view, is the live dashboard, which shows currently what's going on the managing node. In the first row, second row is from the worker node. If we have more worker nodes, more managing nodes, they will all be shown here in the display. There's currently not much going on. I'll just increase a little bit traffic. I have this folder here with mixed content. I can also say convert, so which will increase the load on the machine. We'll automatically see resizing of the graphics here, and we go, nearly 100% converting files here. You can see in the demonstrator all first requests are already turning, and as soon as the last one is through, we'll see CPU resources again falling back to 0, just as expected. So important to realize or to know is that all information you see here in this management interface is made available through a web service. This is a RESTful web service, not to be confused with the SOAP on the application side. This is for operation and maintenance. This is a RESTful web service. All information that's been visualized here is also available in raw data through this REST service. I'm just going, little example is from Cray here. We see names and parents, like all nodes currently in this installation, and which is the parent node. So this allows for any other external management system to get the live architecture of the system as it's currently running. So this allows to perfectly recreate anything similar like this application here. The next is the license dashboard, where we can see the currently installed license, for example, valid until. We have a number of pages here. Page count is like 196,000 pages left. Adding or installing new licenses is as easy as drag and drop. Request license creates a request for the current machine. So those familiar with PDF compressor knows this process, how it's been done. Then the last thing I'm going to show is the help tab here with contents, which always contains the current manuals of the system. So because it's a web service, you have no really a client installation on your development machine. So what comes more natural than also streaming these documentation through the same web service. So again, these can be streamed or downloaded through this RESTful web services if needed. I could say, for example, developer's manual then already shows strict the manual as one would expect. Cool. PDF form. So all other management in direction with accounting, which department has used so many pages. This has all been recorded into the SQL Server database. There's been stored, and you can see exactly which department has used how many pages. So that's it from my part. Carsten?
Great. Thanks, Geert. Thanks a lot for giving us at least a quick glance on how the look and feel is. That's probably basically it. I saw you showing that this GUI is automatically scaling itself to different platforms, so you can even call that on an iPhone, let's say, and it will automatically adjust. So you are able to manage your rendition server while you're moving around in your company and even from home, if you like. Okay, just a little gimmick. I liked it, so I think I wanted to say it again. Okay, good. Switching back to my screen and the boring PowerPoint slides, but I hope it's not so boring from its content. I think we saw how easily the LuraTech Rendition Server can be managed in operations, as well as how easy those strategies can be configured to perform the different tasks for your conversion needs. Let's move on to one more chapter, and that is chapter number 5 of our today's presentation. So-called expansion levels, on saying a little bit first, not anything on this slide about the next level of things you could buy for and with the rendition server. This first slide is about everything. There shouldn't be a 1, there should be an exclamation mark. Everything is already included in the platform license, in the box with the platform. So there is no strategy of offering you a relatively small number for getting the platform, and then in the end you end up with a price times 3 or something like that when you also license all the options. But this has a strategy of having everything in the box. So anytime you license whatever level of rendition server, you get the same level of license for the OCR. You have all the formats we support in the box. And here's the list. I don't need to read it out loud. It includes email, messages with attachments, whatever, and all the standard formats and more. You have access to the APIs in the box already. So when you think about creating a custom station, integrating a custom step as you have it in your company today already, it's available, it's in the box, no extra charge. The API for the custom work item handler, the pre-processing step. You might have specific rules and ideas that come up throughout setting up your workflows where you said this could be pre-processed in order to split load across multiple servers or something like that. The API is available, it's part of the package, no surcharge or something like that. So that's the first message I have for you. The second message is so what are your choices? How can you scale it? And this also gives you a little bit of an impression on our license model. First, you just look at this table here and then select what you want or need. So we have defined scale up here about volume or pages per year, say 3 million pages per year in your system, or a license of, 24 million pages a year in your system, or even a license in your system to process as many pages as you want without even having a counter for it. Again, this includes all the options, including OCR, including PDF, including LuraTech's famous compression, including text to PDF as we saw it, Office to PDF as we saw it, all in these amounts, capped or uncapped as we have them here. That's the first choice you make. Second choice you do is how many of those workhorses, the worker nodes, how many of them do I want to have? Am I okay to say I only have a project with 3 million pages a year, and 3 million pages a year equally spread from its workload, and I don't have a lot of requirements about failover and something like that? You could be good enough to go with a 1 worker node installation. You could also say, yeah, 3 million is enough. It does the job on one worker node, but I want to have one step of redundancy in there when one worker node goes down. Or we switch it to maintenance, which is part of the concept. You can switch your worker node into maintenance. Then a worker node is a server, basically, virtual or physical. And then you can update it, run the Windows updates or whatever. Restart the worker node installation of Rendition Server there. While it still goes on the other worker nodes, you might have the choice to go for 2. Or you might have a lot of pages somewhere, and in order to keep up with the load that is floating through or the peak loads, you might also go for 8 worker nodes or even unlimited worker nodes. And now when you take a look at this box down here, unlimited pages on unlimited worker nodes, that's like all the PDFs of this world and still something to spare, some energy to spare. So this is a real super big installation, and it goes all the way up from a very small to a very large installation, always the same kind of tool. You just make your choice on where your project is sitting in this matrix here, let's say. Options, which is basically singular option. There's one option you can have. You can have a percentage surcharge, one-time fee again, when you want to run more than one managing node. It says 2 or more managing nodes. So you have one managing node in the box. And if you want to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever, parallel managing nodes, and that's obviously for failover reasons, might want to have 2. It might be for throughput. You might want to have 3 or 4, whatever your project looks like. You can also have parallel instances of the managing node. One is in the box, second or more is a single one-time fee percentage surcharge. While all the licenses we have are one-time license fee plus 20% yearly maintenance, so there's no need to pay yearly licenses or something like that for it. Okay, having said that, probably you're interested and want to try. There's an easy offering to try it. There's a proof of concept package, basically 2 proof of concept packages. One is online. I think you would agree to say that taking a license of this kind of tool and then trying it out on your own without any really detailed guiding would be difficult. So we offer a package including 4 hours of online training, setting up and running the system together with a test system, or we even offer the so-called on-site proof of concept package. That's a day of training on-site in your facilities together with a test system for a couple of months. Limited time opportunity as of today. We're interested in getting feedback for this product from the more broader audience than our pilot partners. Ask for an on-site meeting. We're interested to talk about Rendition Server with you guys, not only talk to you guys like here in the webinar, but also talk with you guys and hear what you're saying about Rendition Server. If you do that and go through us with a detailed, probably catered to your needs presentation, we can prepare that and evaluate together with us potential ideas, concept, and use cases that you might have or not in your company. We offer to follow that with a free online proof of concept system, no charge, as a little thank you for interacting with us. And we limit this offer to end of June this year. Okay, it's about time to wrap this up because we took quite a while. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Here's my contact information. Should you want to discuss this any further, should you have any questions additional to those which I'm going to answer right now that came in through the webinar, shoot me an email. It's on the list there. My mobile phone number is on the list there. Just contact me, and I'm happy to discuss all the aspects of Rendition Server or answer all your questions that you might still have after thinking about it for a day or something. Today, we do have a couple of questions. So basically, presentation part is over. Thanks for attending, folks. Who's interested can stay online and go through. It's like probably 3 questions that I will answer right now and listen to that as well. Okay, couple questions. The first one is, oh, yeah, okay. Somebody's asking for a list of the supported formats. I think that was before I had the slide on showing the formats that we support on the input and output side. One more mentioning, if your format hasn't been on the list, talk to us. We might have a standard station in the package for it in preparation, or We do have a lot of these things coming out of the PDF compressor development that's going on for more than 10 years. So there's a lot of technology. We haven't yet rolled everything into the rendition server. So just talk to us. Maybe it's in the works. Other than that, you can also look at the custom station development API and look at what effort it takes, and it doesn't take a lot, to integrate your own conversion engine or something like that into the list of formats that are then supported by your installation of Rendition Server. Second question. Second question is, I am almost sure from a user of PDF Compressor, because it's very specific questions about how to process scanned documents with document separation, barcodes, and everything else with the rendition server. So that's really very specific, but let me answer the question in a more generic way to also position those different products. PDF Compressor is a product that has a great future from now on. It's not going to be replaced by Rendition Server. PDF Compressor is highly specialized on processing scanned documents because it is also batch oriented in its processing. Like most of the scan operations are set up being batch oriented. It can, going back to the question here, separate documents by barcodes, split them in variable lengths, and so on and so forth. We have the technology available. Some of it is rolled into the rendition server already, but the rendition server with its web service is, from a processing standpoint, more document oriented. So there would be a calling application. I don't know, maybe you're a scan client or something like that, would call us document by document, going through the batch, and then we would give the results back. That's a different approach from what the PDF compressor does. So when you're really totally and only into scanning a mailroom or whatever you run, then you might want to take a look at PDF compressor more. If you're in document conversion in a broader sense, creating PDF in a broader sense, doing everything like that, probably including a mailroom, but not only limiting it to a mailroom, Rendition Server might be the tool of your choice to cope with all your PDF, Office conversion, whatever data processing, data conversion, data rendering needs as you have it. Okay, thank you for that question. Helped me a little bit to once more express that both products are living and are very well supported and will be updated on a very continuous basis using our agile software development process, as most of you know from our update schedule. Okay, that should be it for today. We're also a little bit long on time today. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I thank everybody for staying with us. I thank everybody for your interest in our webinar and in our product, LuraTech Rendition Server. Once again, everybody is invited to get in touch and discuss individual needs. Even if you don't have a plan to buy something in a foreseeable time, you want to discuss things or conceptually or something like that, we're here to talk to you. We're interested in understanding what your requirements are. So just really shoot us an email, call my number, whatever, or contact your LuraTech representative that you know, or your LuraTech reseller that you're working with anyway, in order to talk Rendition Server. Thanks again. I hope to see you soon in one of our next webinars. I guess the next one is about our mobile PDF offering in the foreseeable time. Go to luratech.com on the website to sign up for those, and you'll also get your email notices, of course, to register for upcoming webinars. I appreciate your time, appreciate your interest. Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody. Talk to you next time. Thanks.